Richard is a visionary entrepreneur with a passion for creating highly innovative technology companies aimed at solving difficult industry problems. For the past 20 years, Richard has created value wherever he goes. In addition to working at 1-800-Battery, he founded Keller Systems International. Keller Systems is an award-winning enterprise resource planning software company aimed at simplifying complex manufacturers and distributors. He has helped with private equity exits and has come up with over $1.2 billion. His software platform or entities have supported hundreds of millions of battery sales over the past 20 years. Welcome, Richard. Thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Sweet. Let's see. I should give a couple of minutes. I can't see how many people are in, but just let me know when you want me to start.
Yeah, I think people will slowly join us as you continue, but feel free to get started.
Okay, great. So I'll start with me. I gave a little background that was nice. It sounded like I was more impressive than I actually am, so that's cool. But basically, I've been in consumer product goods for 25 plus years. That goes from shoes and apparel and cosmetics and sporting goods, and electronics and pet supplies and automotive parts. So I have a unique background on the B2B side, which was my primary entry into everything, is supporting distributors and retailers. And then I progressed that into the e-commerce and retail side of it. And then I built a platform, our company's built a platform that merges all those things together. We call it Disconnected Omnichannel, but it's really a B2B2C, including the B side, not just being product distributors, but installers and delivery, almost like Uber. So that's what we built at 1-800-Battery. I'm going to go through the problems, the technologies that we use, and the things that we learn, and try to do that in a rapid format so that we can ask some questions and stuff like that. So our business problem is unique. Batteries are a need and time-sensitive purchase. Nobody ever wants to buy one. They must buy one. And it makes it really hard to find product discovery because fitment's an issue. It makes it hard for us to connect it because the disparate inventory and services and capabilities all over the place. So you can go to a dealership, you could go to a AutoZone, you can go to a mobile provider like we have. We have mobile providers as well. So all that stuff is unique, and it's hard to herd the cats when it's all said and done. And our platform, we do that all in real time. Everything's geolocated to where the consumer is. So we're connecting the B2B to the B2C and go forward from there. And then we have some unique challenges like installation, recycling, and fitment, and some of the Uber challenges as well. Why our B2B marketplace is a win for everybody and why we've been successful at it is, number one, is more consumers get their problem solved faster. I think that's always everybody's product goal. Distributors sell more product faster because we can aggregate demand and velocitize our inventory. Manufacturers or brands can market direct without channel conflict, so they include their distributors and their retailers in the process. It's very unique what we've developed. And then the providers and the retailers don't have to change their processes, and they can expand services they might not have had pre-COVID, for example, delivery and pickup, curbside pickup. And then our entire thing is contactless payment. And many of the participants that are now on our platform, our marketplace, weren't even e-commerce before because it was, quote unquote, either too complex or too disparate. We had some extreme data challenges. We have over 1 million fitment and cross-reference issues of what product fits what items. It's very complex. Surprisingly, it's more complex than people would think. We have over 250,000 locations that we can support. We have over 90% of our orders should be filled within 90 minutes or less. We have 1,000 mobile installers as well to support, just like Uber style, and we have 10,000 products. So all of this unique data challenges made us break every e-commerce platform we attempted to build until we went ahead and built our own. Some site samples so you get an idea of the merchandising slash customizing that the consumer sees. They're able to see the exact services that are available to them for an item, if it's delivery and installation, if it's roadside service, if it's a pickup, if there's multiple locations en route to them, or if they need some sort of guided search like help installing or anything like that. And that's all customizable by category and everything else like that. So it's kind of a unique merchandising solution when it's all said and done. We have external ad campaign support, and that really binds the manufacturers into the whole e-commerce process. So for example, on the left, AAA can add in their membership stuff and reroute the order to member services versus retail services. In the middle, we can feature a choice, the one that we would select. And then on the right, we can do manufacturer rebates preemptively. For example, there might be a $20 rebate for interstate if you buy in Florida today. So that's all geolocated. It's all super complex to handle the ad campaign support, but that allows the manufacturers to link through the process and be part and cooperative in a B2B2C relationship versus either doing it themselves and or being channel conflict. For us, we mobily optimize everything, so that's an important fact too. So we're integrated into all the mobile wallets. Our optimization is add to purchase in 5 clicks, so that's pretty complex when you're handling e-commerce and product and search, especially in a complex category like automotive parts. So we're always focused on consumer experience and optimization for mobile. And then we also integrate our drivers and delivery and our consumers into real-time information. So we have real-time routing, real-time on-site delivery, SMS notifications to the consumer, as well as we send them maps so they can track the provider if they're a mobile dispatch or not. And then this is where we get to the headless part. For us, we learned that headless changes everything. It's a new paradigm. It actually allows you to change all your business models. So you can change your consumer experience, your internal experience, we'll show that in a few slides, your partner experience, i.e. integrating in the third channels, and every experience can be tailored to each party needed. So you're decoupling all of the monolithic platforms you have, i.e. ERP, i.e. your Magento, whatever it happens to be. You're decoupling all those things, and by using and creating APIs, internal built or external built, developing microservices, you eliminate that lock-in that happens when you just invested in this ERP system 5 years ago, and now it's outdated and you have to upgrade or whatever it is. Headless changes those concepts that you can be agile and increment and be flexible, and by being flexible, it makes you stronger and more agile. It's a complex technology stack, so that's important. These are some of the technologies that we use heavily in different areas. So it's Amazon, Lambda AWS, Redis, our own APIs, external APIs, SQL, NoSQL databases, JavaScript, BigCommerce, Twilio. So what you want to think about is, even though it sounds complex, is you're stitching together all the little pieces that they're kind of either best of breed or they integrate well. And that goes for search. We use other providers for search, analytics with Segment, and we're language agnostic. In our platform, we're using C# for some backend services, JavaScript for some services, React on the front end, and I'll talk about that in the takeaways as we go along. And then, so for an example on a headless, advanced example that we have for a headless here, is we have built into the platform microsite development. So on the left here, our platform is serving up Acura dealerships only. That's a no code, no nothing aspect. So when we built it, we're able to segment variables irrespective of the domain. So if you go to acurabatteries.com, you'll see everything associated with Acura and Acura dealerships. You won't see rest of the 250,000 locations that are on the platform. So by having headless, you're able to change the experience at scale with less administration. And we'll get into that about a little bit of DevOps and our takeaway and different things like that. Custom headless content management. A lot of everybody's hearing about CMSs, and there's a lot of them out there. We chose Sanity. Main reason is because the front end and the back end are customizable. So marketing can build their own pages and edit their own content, even in headless, without being tied into a fixed platform. And that content can be managed and published in standard CMS tools. That was very flexible. That's all headless as well. Even our call center is headless. So we use Twilio Flex. So the experience that we're customizing for our call center agents, so they can have a single view of what's going on with the consumer, the orders, the dispatch, the retailers, the drivers, the payment, all those different triangulation of B2B2C. We're using headless in our call center as well, all customized as well. So that's a really important side of it. And then the things we have learned, which was the most important things as a takeaway as you go forward, is headless and microservices changed how we think about everything in every department. And because what you end up doing is you're componentizing and shrinking down the business problem to its small integration points and where's it going to couple into. So you start thinking about that, and how does the customer pay for the order? We built a mini bank so we can do one-off credit cards. How does the vendor supply inventory? How does the driver show up on time and give the notification to the consumer? You just keep microservicing every little business check thing, and you can iterate them in as you get more information about the process. And that was super powerful to get as far along as we have, which is truly incredible. Second thing that we learned was do not recreate the wheel. We spent a long time with developers, and they love to do this. So they always try to recreate the wheel. So you have to manage that you want your time focused on value-added propositions, not rebuilding another logon screen, not doing certain things that add almost no value to the business because they're just kind of standard operating procedures from a consumer or a B2B perspective. Open source is your friend. So we believe, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of pushback on this, that React and JavaScript on the front end is a must. So that you have to have a flexible technology. By using open source technologies, which both of those are, you're able to learn more about best practices. You're able to also expand capabilities in a very rapid format. And a lot of the glue code necessary to build Headless has already been built, and you can go and learn about those things and just use GitHub as your Google for that stuff. Our backend is language agnostic, so we include Node and Go and C# so that you could have different developers or different stacks or even integration points into your ERP systems, and like we have in the call systems and different things like that, so that you can think that the front end is one segment, almost like a microservice, and then the back end is also a microservice, and that can be language agnostic to the developers. And then finally, we stitch the things together incrementally. So we create cloud functions using Lambda and some of the things, and they're all glued. So we're leveraging APIification of everything everywhere, both external APIs and internal APIs, so that it creates a scalable infrastructure from day one. If we have 1 million people hit our site right now, 1 million threads on Lambda spin up, because we're not really managing web servers or anything anymore. That's all gone in our platform. So you're just managing the consumer experience and everything else like that. And then finally is DevOps and your friends. I think previous presentation, they're talking about agile development, different things like that. By integrating your DevOps team and your development team correctly, you can really speed up the deployment. So when you're micro-releasing, it's less buggy, it's also faster to develop and faster to deploy. So those were the biggest things that we came away. And then just wanted to end it with thank you for letting me talk about this stuff. And if you have any questions, I'm more than free to answer some for a few minutes.
Hey, Rich, how are you?
Hey, Tim, how's it going, man?
It's going really well. So I'm just wondering if anyone in the session has questions that they want to add into the chat. We do have a little extra time. Dazzling presentation, as expected.
You're my biggest fan.
Well, you know, I try.
You do. You do.
You know, I think we're actually ahead of schedule.
That's my job.
I think we're ahead of schedule today, which doesn't happen very often in these events. It's usually a race, you know.
And I'll give you an idea what the Headless B2B does for scale for our business.
Please do.
Is we literally went from 0 locations to over 2,000 locations in less than 9 months. And from there, now we're onboarding mobile and doing the Uberification of our market. We already onboarded over 100 just in the last week. So when you have Headless and you have the ability to manage your own processes and be that kind of incrementally responsive to your market, you can create whole new markets at scale. And we'll do hundreds of millions of dollars in the next 24 months. So those are competitive advantages. And connecting, if you're a manufacturer distributor, you can leverage the same type of technologies. And we're going to be building these technologies and releasing them as a separate company as well. But you're able to build on those technologies and think about, you're not trying to compete against your channel. You're not trying to do margin capture against retail, or whatever it is, but integrating in a holistic manner your entire business and your entire value chain using both technology, data, and business processes. And you can succeed like you've never succeeded before, at a rate you've never succeeded before.
Well, one thing, Rich, that you maybe we somehow got this off a little bit. We actually have almost 15 minutes left. Our next session doesn't begin until 11:45, so we might as well just have a really good chat here, right?
Sure, right?
We
I'll
might
do
as well.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have a question from one of the folks in the session, Nessim. I hope I have the pronunciation correct. So here's the question: have you figured out how to integrate AI algorithms into the experience besides the recommendation engine?
Well, the recommendation is a big one because we're biasing the results. So the geolocation and the ETAs and all the nuances of trying to figure out if we can supply that the recommendation is more complex than just saying, hey, this product fits this item. It's this product fits this item at this service level with this provider that's active now with this inventory that's available. All that is pretty dynamic. So there's a little bit of AI in there, but not as much as you would think. There's always other areas that we could use AI, but we're not using AI yet, not heavily, other than a little bit of nuance of predicting ETAs. Mm-hmm. And then the next question said is how COVID impacted supplier demand. Yes. Oh, absolutely. COVID accelerated our business by dramatic leaps and bounds. I'll tell you why. Not only was it e-commerce, it was also the different service models that developed into it. Contactless payment, which we did a year plus ago. That was a big one. So we have complete contactless payment. Curbside pickup. Literally, some of our customers just took a checkbox on their service levels, and now they had contactless payment with curbside pickup, and then now delivery. So COVID's basically saying, hey, all these models need to make you flexible in your delivery methods, and we literally nailed every single one. We got very lucky, and it accelerated our development and adoption as well.
So I have a question related to that. So one of the things that obviously became a big deal for some during COVID were things like, buy online, pickup in store, curbside pickup. Has that really affected B2B in a similar way?
Depends how you think B2B. I'm actually my primary background was always B2B, and our e-commerce going back almost 20 years ago, was always B2B centered with price levels and blind drop shipping and vendor accounts, all the little things about terms that you can check out with terms, user authentication. An account can have 5 different things, but this user can buy $5,000, but this user can only buy $100, those type of things. We baked that into our e-commerce 20 years ago. So those things are always kind of different. And B2B is always serving some sort of function. It's either servicing in our environment, our B2B relationship is our installers and our retailers who are actually doing physical labor. So we've integrated that side of it so that the consumer has it, but also the provider has the information to do their job correctly too. So I actually think there's a blending of B2B, and then that's why I tagged this B2B2C. Like all the parties have to start to look at each other as a cohesive, holistic whole, not that this market is different than this market, because it's not. Eventually you're moving a product to somebody, and that's just a function of logistics and then labor if you're adding your value-added services as a VAR, reseller, installer, or whatever it happens to be.
So one of the other things I guess I heard you talking about was contactless payment. That's something else that I'm kind of fascinated by, because the technology has been there really for quite a long time. Why do you think it took something more like COVID for people to really start adopting it so aggressively? It seemed like a no-brainer in a way when I first heard about it. It's like, wow, this is easy. So,
kinda. There's two major things, and one, we're the only one I know that gets around it. So most of that is B2C, and contactless payment just works as a function of payment or whatever it is. But when you're buying on one half in a marketplace format and you're delivering to another, when you're trying to use contactless payment, you're either doing terms with those vendors, that's one option, and then your other option is single-use credit cards. That option, you have to know your customers. So there's a barrier for you to be able to implement that in a B2B2C format, and because the KYC protocols and different things that are there. And so we had to build the infrastructure to handle those things on the vendor side, independent of everything else like that. So there's a lot of moving parts, but they just end up being just little microservices that you have to fight that challenge. And that's what's affected B2B contactless payment more than anything. It's the KYC protocols.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You know, it's funny. I think a lot of people have this fantasy that they can do Apple Pay, you know, and just kind of wave their phone, you know,
Yeah,
over to get
sure, sure. But for less technical companies trying to do headless for B2B, how would you recommend they get started? First, contact Trellis. Is that a good pitch for you guys? That would be the
Trellis
first
number
thing.
one. That's right.
Trellis is number one.
Number one.
Second is to, I'd actually contact BigCommerce. So we went through all of the other headless implementations that were out there. We tried every technology out there, from Molten to everybody else. And BigCommerce ended up with a good API. They could always improve it. Sorry, BigCommerce, if you're listening. But they ended up with a really good infrastructure for their cart management and their order management and some other stuff like that. So you could use the traditional tools that are out there. And then we basically micromanaged and took the PIM, the product information system, and the geolocation system and the payment system and all those things out of any sort of BigCommerce domain, because those were the value-added services that we needed to control for our customers. So it goes back to designing a business kind of process where you're not recreating the wheel and you're thinking of everything like an integration point and what the value add for those integration points are.
Great question. Great question. Thanks for the you know, the plug for
Isaiah again. I love Trellis. Always
well,
plug
I'm glad. You know, I have to say, one of the things that I've really enjoyed about the podcast was meeting folks like yourself, but, you know, also all of the other speakers and the sponsors that we have in today, you know, folks in SIBA, you, BigCommerce, Blue Snap, Saligo, Punch Out to Go. It's really great just to get the whole family together to chat about B2B e-commerce today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exciting. You know, B2B actually has more complexity, and it drives the system of commerce more than B2C, because you have to get B2B to get B2C. So you can't get to retail without the B2B. So by getting just thinking about it at each logical step, starting from the consumer on one end, working on the way back, starting from the B2B end, working the way forward, meeting in the middle, you'll solve the problems, your business will be successful, your providers and retailers will be successful, and your net end consumer of your product or service is successful. So you have to do it, and it has to be digital, because the speed of everything's increasing. We literally just Uberfied something as simple as car battery installation. Think about that. You go to a dealership and you're going to wait hours, if you're lucky, to get your car battery done. We will come to your house, deliver it. Our average time is less than an hour. So how are they going to, when you velocitize business and decrease lead times and increase fill rates? Those are two B2B terms from what we use in our manufacturing. When you velocitize business, you become unstoppable against your competitors. So real time, and just literally every little aspect you're thinking about as you go along.
All right, I'm going to pick up on velocitize. I think that's going to be the word for the day. I don't even know if I've heard that before, but it's absolutely perfect, because it captures just about everything that needs to happen. You know, it's what you said, and we've many of us have talked about this, you know, at length in other conversations. But really, the pace of change, right? It's so much about the pace of change, and then trying to figure out ways to accommodate, you know, the consumer, whoever they are, you know, in the best possible way. And really, you know, it's no longer like sit around and wait, as you said, for hours for a car battery, just like sitting somewhere reading a magazine.
Yes. We've had customers, like our manufacturing customers, where they had 30-day lead times and 60% fill rates. So this is real complex, solving real B2B issues, right? ERP issues. And then we've taken them from 30-day lead times to 24-hour lead times. All that does is reduce their inventory, increase their profitability, and basically make the business more responsive to every aspect of the value chain that they're providing. So the velocitization has tremendous impact from finance, how fast you get that order, puts it into receivables, is how fast you get paid 30 days later. So by velocitizing every single aspect of every single thing that you think about your business, you can't be stopped if you have that thing. So a Rich Kellerism and a mantra that we go into any of our implementations and any of our designs is, how fast can we make this? And the faster we make it, the better it is.
The faster we make it, the better it is. That's fantastic.